Hi BookTube! Welcome to my reading corner. I am Jackie, and it is Top 5 Wednesday time, and if you are new, happen to be new to Top 5 Wednesday, this is a Goodreads group created by Ginger Reads Laney. It is currently hosted by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, and basically, Sam will give a topic for us to do each month where we pick our top 5 of the topic, and of course it's book related. And this week's topic is our top 5 SFF BFFs. Best friends. Now, most of mine are fantasy, but number one is actually I decided to throw in a fantasy. Of course, this one wasn't originally my first choice, but it's not because I don't value the original choice over them. It's just that the first one that popped in my head was the friendship from another book because I had just read it. So, and I was also feeling like, okay, I need to throw at least one sci-fi in here, one sci-fi friendship. And I've had at least read one sci-fi series, and that is The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Now, overall, I like the whole friendship circle of that main group of characters, but I feel like the one I chose is one that was mostly focused on friendship aspect. Like, the rest of them was more focused on the relationship with parental figures and their destinies and what they had to do in their romantic relationships. Like, there weren't a lot of friendships. And also was like they were just getting to know each other. And I almost wish Marissa Meyer would find a way to come up with another story that involved these characters, not in short story format like Stars Above, but like continue their story, and like maybe there's another conflict she could give them so that we could get more of their friendship. Or like maybe someone would make a series, or TV series. But anyway, the ones I chose were Cinder and Aiko from the first book. Now, which by the way, I'm not gonna give a summary because I just tried to film this video earlier and I totally stumbled on the description on getting ready to describe what this series is about because it's been a while since I've read it, and I've already reread the first 3 books in the series, and I did start book 4, but then I kind of got distracted by other nice, shiny, pretty books. So I haven't gone back to it lately. It's one of the ones I do need to get back to. So I'm a little fuzzy on the plot. Or at least explaining the plot to other people. So I'm just gonna jump in talking about Aiko and Cinder. They are the first friends that are first character friendship that are introduced. Cinder is a 16. I think she's 16. She's living in New Beijing with her stepfamily, and she is the best mechanic in the town of New Beijing. And Aiko is the family's android. Her stepfamily's android. And she's the only one who's actually, other than Peony, I don't know, I can never remember how you're supposed to, how you say her name. But that's probably one of the smaller reasons why I would love when people adapt books into movies or TV shows. Because then I can actually hear how the name should be said. Unless, of course, although I guess I could watch interviews by authors. But anyway, those two are really the only ones who show Aiko any sign of friendship and kindness and respect and treat her like an equal. But my favorite friendships are the ones where people are complete opposites of each other. You got the one who's like very cynical and, broody and stuff and very shy or very cautious or serious all the time. And then you got the friend that's all fun and is laid back and easygoing and just, and sometimes is a flirt. And that's how Aiko and Cinder are. Cinder is very serious. I mean, not that she's not so serious that she doesn't know how to, crack a joke or anything, but she's kind of the more serious between the two of them. And Aiko's just a big flirt, I mean, not that she's just that. She's also a very sweet and caring person, and she appreciates humanity, especially because she herself is not human. And they do that a lot in stories about AIs, robots or androids or whatever you want to call them, who they aren't considered human. They might look human, but they're not. And so because of that, and because they have a mechanical, or as they say in the movie Bicentennial Man, positronic brain, they can't experience the same things the way things we do. They don't have complex emotion, or they can't, or they're not seen as very complex. They're just machines. They have logical mindsets. But a lot of times in these AI stories, they end up learning complex emotions and have like interesting like ways of thinking and appreciating the humanity around them and all the things that like beauty and everything. And I think so they're completely opposite personalities, but they complement each other so well. Like Aiko pushes Cinder into doing brave things, I think, and encourage her. Is her inspiration and her motivation, her encouragement, her fairy godmother. And since this is a Cinderella retelling, and I think that she in a way is the reason why Cinder gets up the courage to go to the ball, because it has all the elements of the Cinderella story with the ball and everything. So Aiko is the one who encourages her, and these two really care about each other. And while Cinder kind of brings Aiko down to earth, she keeps her from going a little too crazy and being too reckless. She keeps her grounded. So I think they have really good balance for each other. And also, like Cinder, she's not an android, but she does have cybernetic parts. So I feel like Aiko accepts Cinder for who she is, even if she's not, because I mean, they're similar in a lot of ways. Even though Cinder is in a literal sense more human than Aiko, they basically both have a little bit of each other's parts. Like she has cyborg parts. She's a cyborg, and meaning I think a cyborg is like you have a human body, but you also have robotic parts too, I think. But they, while but she's human, while Aiko is very much like she's an android, she's a robot, but she has human emotions. Like especially like her fashion sense and her obsession, and how she acknowledges that like she gets excited about Prince Kai and thinks he's so cute and everything. It's kind of cute actually. How she acts like a typical girl who's like loves fashion and knows cute and thinks about cute boys and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so the next one I'm going to talk about. Let's see, who was I? Oh yeah, the next one. Okay, I wasn't sure about like mentioning this pairing, but I wanted to include another female friendship, and also like I feel like I've gotten to know this friendship, these two really well, particularly because I've seen the TV show versions. So I was hesitant to include them because I mostly know them through the show, but I decided to go ahead and include them so I can have another two female friends rather than a bunch of male friends or male friends, but the token female friend, like the token female character. Although the original people I was going to mention, I wouldn't say she's a token female, but it's one of those things where, it's that typical story where she's surrounded by all these guys and she's not like other girls. And you could argue that that one female character is not like other girls trope. But although the author of this particular trilogy that I was thinking about originally does, he turns tropes on their heads a little bit. I'm talking about, of course, Brandon Sanderson, the Mistborn series, or trilogy. Although, I guess it would be considered a series, because he did write another trilogy. But anyway, so I was originally going to say Kelsier's gang from Mistborn, but I'm going to replace it with Missandei and Daenerys Targaryen. First of all, Daenerys from Game of Thrones, by the way, or Song of Ice and Fire, the actual title, but people who know the show call it Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones is a little easier to say than Song of Ice and Fire all the time. But, okay, so these two, like, okay, Daenerys Targaryen she is trying to get back to the capital of this world because she believes she is the rightful queen of this world. And she also starts, wanting to establish herself and gain friends and armies and all that stuff. And she ends up coming to the city to free these slaves, and Missandei was one of the slaves that she freed. So this friendship actually started where, like, it was kind of like it was like obligation in a way that she owed Daenerys. But then it starts out that way, but I feel like then it becomes a real friendship. They really care about each other and are very supportive and will supportive of each other. Like, Missandei is very supportive of Daenerys' goal and what she will do for that goal, and will stay loyal to her no matter what. Especially since she saved her life, she freed her from enslavement. And then on Dany's end, she does not see Missandei as a slave. She sees her as a friend, as a confidant, and also as someone that will speak for her if she cannot communicate with the people. So I think I like that, I love that their relationship and their friendship was started. And that's another thing. Not only do I like opposite people whether it's opposite, not just in significant others, but also in friendships. But I also like the ones that they start out, like, where there's a difference in status, but they don't see that between the two of them. They don't care about that unless it gets to the point where their friendship gets a little rocky, and they feel like, and then that kind of, they are reminded of that status difference. So I don't have a lot to say about them, but they are on here too. And then next, number 3 is Kaz's gang. I guess, I don't know what they would be called, the crows, the drags. I don't know if they have like what people would call them. But this is from Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows trilogy, or duology, it's not a trilogy, about a group of criminals led by Kaz Brekker, who is he's known as Dirty Hands and is willing to get his hands dirty. And he is hired to get a group together to commit a heist by breaking out this scientist from a prison who's created this special drug that, given to Grisha, the magic users of this world, it will enhance their powers and make them stronger. But then, like any other drug, you'll crash really hard to the point of dying. That you could die if you like. And of course, it's addictive. So the first book is like them getting, the first half of the first book in the duology is him getting his group of friends together, and then they're committing the heist. And these are people that are so unlikely to be friends. You have Kaz, who is very cold. He will get his hands dirty and do whatever is necessary, even hurt people he cares about, potentially. And he lies to people. And he's also got a really bad, all these characters have bad past. Like, he was betrayed essentially by his brother, who ends up getting killed. Or he sees what his brother getting, as a betrayal. So he can't get close to people. Now, I don't know what his thing about, because he does have this weird thing about, like, touching people, like, in the literal sense. Like, he can't touch people, or touching people reminds him. And he cuts himself off. He does not like getting attached to anybody. So he remains very cold and distant. And then you have a sharpshooter, Jesper, who is like, it's just him and his dad. His mom is gone. He's a Grisha himself, but he has kept that a secret because his father feels like that is what killed his mom. So his dad has told him, I don't want you to show your powers. And I don't remember what exactly his powers were. I need to reread that duology. And he has a gambling problem. And then you have Nina, who is, she's a Grisha herself, and she's one of those people that has power of the living and the dead. So she has, like, I think she's kind of run away from being a Grisha for a while. Or no, she actually was kidnapped by these soldiers from another one of the countries in their world, and then her and one soldiers end up kind of getting entangled and separated from everybody else, and they end up getting a little intimate with each other, and they start developing female feelings with each other, and then she ends up betraying him, so now he's back to not trusting her again. So they end up running into, she ends up tracking, I think, it's, as you can see, it's been a long time since I read Six of Crows, the first one, but they end up coming back together again, and he joins Kaz's group, and he's like struggling with his feelings that he has for Nina, and Nina is struggling with her feelings for him, because they're supposed to be enemies. They're not supposed to like each other. And he's a soldier, so he's going against his duty as a soldier against his people. He's considered a traitor. That's Matthias. I think that Matthias? I don't know how to say it. I've heard some people say Matthias, but Matthias or something, but I always thought it was Matthias because of the H. I could be wrong, though. But he knows the prison where the scientist is being held. And then you have the rich guy who hired him, his son, who's Wylan, and he's dyslexic. So his father does not, he sees him as an embarrassment to the family. And his father also had committed his mom to the mental ward and remarried a woman that's the same age as Wylan, I believe. So he joins Kaz's crew because it's like, his dad's gonna have him sent away or arrested or put in the mental institution or whatever too, so he's safer with Kaz Brecker. And then you have Inej, who is known as the Wraith in the group, and she's good at heights and climbing and on tight ropes and stuff like that, and she's really, really fast and like a shadow, and that's why they call her the Wraith. And she has feelings for Kaz, but of course Kaz does not return those feelings, or at least not in an obvious sense. He doesn't want to admit those feelings because he feels like, because he's thinking, I can't express those because it's too much. There's, I might lose her and all that. And, when people like that are always like worried about bad guys coming after people they love. So it's like they try not to love people, which is totally ridiculous. They're gonna come after them anyway. It's like you almost have to be incapable of love. I mean, like, literally not be able to feel it at all. Not just pretending you can't feel it, but I mean, like, have your heart and soul taken out of your body. Or ability to feel anything taken out. Like, you have to not care at all. And I feel like it's impossible. And these people claim they don't, but then it's like, please. And she was originally a prostitute, and Kaz had saved her from prostitution. That's why she, kind of looked up to him and admired him, and then she developed infatuation and fell for him. And she wants to, travel the world someday, so that's also kind of part of why she joins, is not only her feelings for Kaz, but also once they get the money from committing this heist, then they all get to live the lives they want to. So with that, explaining their personalities, they, for some, even though they shouldn't be friends, they complement, again, this group of friends complements each other so well. You have Matthews and Nino, they're constantly arguing and butting heads. And they understand each other's weaknesses and strengths. They're very supportive of each other. I mean, granted, like, some of the romantic relationships aren't a little healthy, meaning, andNej and Kaz, they need to work on that. They need therapy. But they really care about each other. They try to hide. Granted, they do keep secrets and lie to each other, but they will still love each other no matter what. And be supportive, although sometimes Kaz's love is hard to get. It can be, but he does care about them. He does love Jesper and Nej, and it's just such a unique, great friendship. I love, again, another type of friendship is one that where on the surface doesn't seem like they really care about each other and it seems like they shouldn't be friends, but they end up actually complementing each other and becoming a really tight-knit pairing or group of friends. Like, if you really pay attention, you can really see that they do generally care about each other, even if they pretend like they don't, or one of them pretends like they don't. Okay, so next, that was number 3. Number 4 is from a middle grade, the Dragon Rider Chronicles by Nicole Conway. And this is essentially about this kid that is half human, half gray elf, and he ends up getting the opportunity to go to school for Dragon Rider, an academy for Dragon Riders, where they are basically the soldiers of this world. And the main character is Javid Broadfeather. I think his mom is a princess, actually. And the first friend he ever makes is Felix Sparrow, who is the son of a duke. And in fact, their friendship kind of reminds me of the next one on this that oh, wait, no. Okay, well, I'm just switching these around then. The original one that I actually intended for 4 on my notes, but I guess I'm switching these around. Felix they remind me of the final friendship on here, where one of them is just very laid back, a bit of a flirt, very easygoing, has a lot of responsibility, but doesn't always take it seriously because they don't really want that responsibility. They don't want to be this person in charge. And then you have the other one who's the chosen one. He's the brooding hero. He's the one that always has to save everybody and protect everybody. Like, the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And he's just really caring and loving of the people in his life and will do anything for them. That's Felix and Javid. But they both also know how to have fun and be cool and help each other out. They'll be each other's second. They're a wingman, And they really care about each other, even to the point. And they'll get mad if each other does something stupid, which I also like that element in a story where there's friendship, is when the other person, or lovers too, where the one person gets, like, when the others puts their lives in danger, or you think that they've died, and then the other person gets so mad at them, like, punches them or smacks them or like yells at them, you're like, don't ever do that again. Don't ever scare that, I like that because it shows they really care about the person. And that does happen in their story, but I'm not going to say any more than that because I don't want to spoil it. Because I think you guys, if you like dragon stories, and it is middle grade, and the writing is very juvenile, but it's still a very fun story. And I guess I really can't, which I don't know if I went against that because I know that Murphy Napier, she did a video discussing ratings, and then it also included poll questions. And I looked it up, and I don't remember how I answered the question about how do you rate, do you consider the category or whatever, or who it's the audience in your rating? Like, if something is originally for middle grade or young adult, how do you keep that consideration? And actually, with the way I rated that one, somehow it might come off that the way I rate this series might come off as I'm not considering the. I don't know. So I don't remember how, but it's of course I can't take back my answer. It's too late. But although she won't, unless I became friends with her and told her how I answered, there's no way she could ever know, or if she like watched this video. But anyway. So, but like I said, they kind of are that's another good friendship I guess I should include, Jon and Sam. Samuel Tarly and Jon Snow. That is another friendship, I would say. But, as I always, when I do these, I always try to keep the ones I've actually read the books. I mean, I have read the Song of Ice and Fire books, and and that's why I included, and I did include Missandei and Daenerys. So I guess I could have included Jon Snow and Samuel Tarly. But, I mean, it's too late now, it doesn't matter. So, the tiredness is starting to hit me. Anyway, so let me just go ahead and mention number 5 is Kel and Rye. These two, it's the same thing. They really care about each other, but they're complete opposites of each other. I mean, in fact, people don't think they should be friends in the first place. I just read a chapter in the third, I'm reading Conjuring Light now, and I just read a chapter where, something has happened to Rye, and his mom is very worried about him, and it's partly because of Kel, and she blames him and, talks about how, well, she's sitting by his side, waiting to see if he's going to wake up, because he is alive, he just hasn't come to yet, and he's trying to heal and all that, and you get her, and of course you get her thoughts, and she talks about how, or is thinking about how she never wanted them to be like brothers in the first place, but they do become like brothers. They become so close and so bonded, in both metaphorical sense and the literal sense. And that's kind of also with Felix and Javid, too. They become bonded, although they don't really become brothers until the 4th book in the series. They actually do literally, Felix makes them brothers in the, what's the word? In the legal sense. They become brothers. And, of course, not everybody is too keen about this. Not everybody, like Felix's mom is not too keen. In fact, Felix's mom is a bitch. She's a horrible woman. She's very selfish. I mean, you kind of feel sorry for her at the same time, but she's really, you just want to smack that woman. But anyway, yeah, Kel and Rye's the same thing. I mean, they are very supportive. They love each other like brothers. And they do become literally bonded at one point. And it's such a touching relationship. Yeah, you have, I definitely, I'm not one of those people who is, so tired of romance being in young adult books or anything like that. I do like it. I mean, of course, I understand why people are like, not every young adult fantasy or every young adult contemporary has to have romance in it. But I'm one of those people who does enjoy it when it's in there. Even though I don't like reading the romance genre, because the genre is, basically the story is always the same. Boy and girl meet. The only difference is how they meet. Either they're enemies first, and then they become lovers, or they become friends who secretly have feelings for each other, or, it's love at first sight, or something like that. And, the details are different, but it's still kind of that's all it is. The romantic relationship of their main characters, and all the external and internal forces that keep them apart. But I don't read romance, but I like when romance is in the story, when it's part of the plot, it's the secondary plot, or even less than that, it's a minor plot point, but it's in there. And I like but I also like it when they have it's not just about the romance, it's about friendships and siblings. I want to see that. I do definitely want to see that more. But I don't want it to be only about that. I still want the romance in there. So, but I really appreciate that, like, both the Shades of Magic trilogy, in case you didn't know where Kell and Rye come from, it's the Shades of Magic trilogy by V. Schwab, and the Dragon Rider Chronicles, how they also focus on the friendships and the brotherly love between the main character and another male character. It's not just about them and the love interest. Like, that's almost secondary to the plot between. In fact, like in Shades of Magic, the romance doesn't really blossom until halfway through the second book, and then in the third book, it's definitely more in there. Like, and they're actually in that trilogy, there's more than one romance, but it doesn't take over the plot. You know, it's in there, but it's not like a main plot point. So I get that people don't want the romance to take over the plot. That's why they don't like where constantly they're having a romance. And I know that some people say that there's some books that they read where they feel like this book did not need to have a romance. And of course, I can't really say anything or get even defensive because some of the books that they're talking about I haven't even read. But anyway, basically those two are very similar. You know, they're very much opposites becoming friends. It's like opposites attract, except for it's not attracting in the romantic sense. It's attract like connecting in a friendship way, in a platonic way. So they're both basically similar. And the one that originally was number one before Cinder and Aiko was actually Geralt and Daedalian. Although Elia Brooks, I think she pronounced it as dandelion, like the flower, or actually some people would call it a weed, from the Witcher series. Like, for the first time, I just read the first short story collection, The Last Wish, which Elia Brooks recommends you read that first, and then The Sword of Destiny, which is another collection of short stories introducing the characters and introducing the world. And, you know, kind of getting you used to it all, because this is a foreign author, and with his work being translated into English. And that's what the games are based on, by the way, the video games, which I think I've already mentioned several times before in other videos. So I was going to say them because, again, it's another friendship pairing where they're complete opposites of each other. You have, again, a situation where the main character, he's very serious, kind of broody, even cynical and emo. And then you have Dandelion, who's more laid back and a flirt and likes to have fun and, you know, wasn't very smart about things. And likes to have fun and stuff. And he keeps Geralt on his toes, and Geralt keeps Dandelion grounded a little bit. So that's a bonus friendship. And like I said, I could have mentioned Johnso with Samwell Tarly. That's another friendship I really like. And again, another friendship where the two people are complete opposites of each other. In fact, I think most of these friendships, with the exception of, and both in Kelsier's gang and Kaz's gang, there is a group of characters that are completely different, and you wouldn't think that they would make sense together as friends. So I guess it kind of also reflects the whole opposite thing. And then there was another friendship that I was going to put on there, but it wasn't sci-fi or fantasy. I mean, I guess you could say that it's sci-fi, and it's a group of friends on the Batman in the Batman comics. I'm talking about Gotham Sirens of Gotham City. Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Harley Quinn, Selena Kyle, Pamela Islay, and Harleen Quinzel. But I didn't know if I could count them because, like, there is science fiction elements in the Batman comics, but granted, I don't entirely know a lot because I don't read them, really. I've only read, like, one now. But, I mean, I'm familiar with the Batman universe. So, there is enough potential sci-fi in that universe that you could say it's a sci-fi thing, because it's not a crime. It's not contemporary. It's not crime or anything like that. Most of these characters are psychotic, and there is a little bit of magic in the Gotham world, like Ra's al Ghul, for instance. I think he's kind of a sorcerer or something. And then Poison Ivy has her powers, and sometimes there's weird science stuff in there. But maybe I'm thinking about Gotham as well, the Gotham TV show, more so. But yeah, granted, there's more sci-fi elements in, like, the Marvel, I think, than... Unless, I guess Wonder Woman and Superman has some sci-fi elements. I feel like from what I know, that the Batman universe is the least sci-fi. But it's not fantasy, but it's not exactly contemporary either. It's its own thing. But anyway, so those are my top 5 friend group. Well, although I mentioned more than 5. So would love to know what your top 5 or more, whether you want to do the actual top 5 Wednesday or just want to share what your favorite friendships in sci-fi and fantasy are. Feel free to share in the comments below. I will post a link to the Goodreads group in the Dropbox below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you have not already. And I hope, as always, you are enjoying your reading. I will talk to you later. Alright, bye!